All right, so we've been talking about volume of a sphere, okay? How much space a sphere takes up, and we have a formula for that, okay? I know that the fraction is kind of confusing to you guys, so I'm going to give you an alternative formula. Feel free to use whichever one you're more comfortable with. So the first problem you guys had to do was this one right here. So you've got a sphere. That was a pretty good circle, Miss Wayho. We got a radius of 4 inches. I drew it the wrong way, but 4 inches is our radius nonetheless. So we got radius 4 inches. And all we have to do is we have to plug this 4 in for either one of these R values. These are the same formula. This one's just simplified a little bit. So I'm going to use the second one since you guys haven't seen me use that one yet. And I'm going to put 4 in for R. So to find the volume of this sphere, we've got 1.33, that's the 4/3, times pi times 4 cubed. Now remember, when we have all numbers, no letters, even though pi is technically a letter, it represents a number, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna cube before we multiply, okay? So we're doing PEMDAS. 4 3 times, that's 64. Everything that's not 4 cubed, we rewrite. So 4 cubed has become 64. Okay, and now we're going to multiply from left to right. We don't have to worry about the division because I already did the division for you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so 1.33 times pi, which we know as 3.14. So we get this decimal approximation. And our last step is to multiply by that 4 cubed, or that 64, to get 267.28. Now we need units or else you didn't get the answer completely right. Our original units was inches, so our volume units are cubic inches. Whatever the original units were, we're just going to put the word cubic in front of it. Okay, any questions on number 1? All right, spectacular. We're going to move on to number 2. And you'll see these are the same process every single time. So no matter what the radius is, we're going to follow the same steps every single time. Okay, I'm going to stick to using the second formula because I think for a lot of us, it's going to be a little bit easier. Okay, our second example is a huge sphere. Our radius is 12 feet. So this diameter, the entire way across, is 2 feet or 24 feet long. That's huge. This volume is going to be a big number because of how big this sphere is. Okay, so here my radius is 12 feet. So I'm going to plug 12 feet in for R. So I've got V equals 4/3 as a decimal, pi times 12 to the 3rd. Again, PEMDAS, we have to do exponents before multiplication. So we've got 12 times 12 times 12. So we can already tell this is a giant number. So 12 to the 3rd becomes 1,728. And now we're going to multiply left to right. So we've got our approximation, times pi approximation, times that 1728 we just got all in a row. I did it all in one step to save time this time. And we get our volume. Now again, we need units. Our original units were feet, so our final units will be cubic feet. Whatever the original units were, we're just going to write the word cubic in front of it to get our final answer. Okay, any questions on number 2? Spectacular. Let's move on to number 3 then, and then we're done with this. Number 3, we got this sphere right here. This is the biggest sphere of them all. Its radius is 22 yards. That's 66 feet. This is a big sphere. This is like a small planet or a moon. Maybe not, making things up. All right, so we've got a radius of 22 yards here. Okay, so now we're going to plug 22 in for R. I'm going to use the decimal approximation one again because I know you guys don't like the fraction. Okay, the fraction's probably where we got tied up most of the time. So our volume's going to be 4/3 as a decimal times pi times 22 to the 3rd. So we should expect a gigantic answer here. Okay, again, PEMDAS, we're going to do the exponent first, then the multiplication. So 22 times 22 times 22 already have a giant number, and this number is just going to get bigger because we're multiplying, and multiplying typically makes things bigger. All right, and now we're going to multiply these 3 things together. So we've got our 4/3 approximation, our pi approximation, and our 10,648. And just like I said, we've got a huge number. This is a huge sphere. Okay, we just need some units. And watch my rounding, right? 1.177 rounds to 0.18 because the 7 afterward rounds that first 7 up. Original units was yards, so my final units will be cubic yards. Another way to write cubic yards would be yards to the third. These are the same, but on Google Forms where your work usually is, you can't do a cubic like that. There's no place to write an exponent of 3, so just cubic yards is fine. All right, guys, any questions? It was a big number. It was 7216.47.